Hi there, thank you so much for joining me. This is a channel where we do upcycling DIYs. Take thrifted items, tired, boring clothes out of your closet, garage sale, whatever, and breathe new life into them and make them fun and edgy, sometimes artistic clothing again that you can wear or sell. And today I want to make a very sort of couture ruffly skirt out of jammy pants, flannel men's jammy pants. Now, these are readily available in my thrift stores, so I thought it would be fun to take something fairly ordinary and try to make something a bit extraordinary out of it. And so when I was searching for pants for this skirt, I ran across a flannel bed sheet and two pillowcases that are sort of the same plaid flannel. They have cute little Dalmatians, and it's a big piece of fabric, so that is probably going to come in handy. So let's get started on it. Okay, so these are going to start off sort of how this skirt is. This was made out of a pair of jeans and has an insert in the front and the back. Now, I have a tutorial on these, and I'll put the link in my description. So with that being said, these don't have to be flannel. They could be denim. You could do some white capris and maybe a white bed sheet and do an insert and some ruffles. Any patterns. I have a pair of flowy boho pants. Let me show you. So something like this. A pair of flowy boho pants. Find some fun pattern fabrics and patchwork. So just keep an open mind. This is a tutorial. I am going to take you step by step and try to be as clear as possible. Everything I do, but leave room for your own creativity, your own touch. Okay, now we'll get going. The first thing I want to do is just choose out of all the jammy pants I bought, the ones that fit me the best. The first thing I want to do is there's a seam on the inside of the legs. I'm going to start at the bottom of one leg, cut all the way up, cut straight across the crotch and down the other side and get that all opened up. Okay, now that I have these all cut open, I am going to the front of the crotch here, and I measured up 3 inches and made a mark right here. Now I'm just going to seam rip what's left here up to that mark. Okay, now I have the front seam ripped, and I turned it over to the back side. And I need to seam rip this one. The only difference is I'm going up 5 inches instead of 3, and I'm making a mark. And now I'm just going to seam rip that. Okay, now I have everything cut open and seam ripped. And now I have to cut out the inserts for the skirt. And I had to decide how wide I want it at the bottom, and I decided 33 inches. So I lay a yardstick down here and put the inside of the pants. I'm measuring from inside to inside, 33 inches. And now I can measure how tall I want the insert. I'll go to the top of the tallest cut, and I get 22.5 inches. I'm going to add an inch for error. So 23.5 inches tall and 33 inches wide. Now for this part, that takes quite a bit of fabric. So I'm going to use that bed sheet, that flannel bed sheet. You can piece together legs from your flannel pants. You may have to piece them together. I don't know if you'd find a piece this wide. Maybe you don't even want your skirt this wide. But I'm going to use this. And instead of cutting a triangle, I'm going to just cut a square that's 33 by 23.5, just to make life easy for myself. I'm having a nice finished edge at the bottom of my sheet here, and I need to cut 2 of those squares, one for the back and one for the front. Okay, now I'm only working on the front side of the pants. I took that rectangle flannel piece and I just kind of slid it in underneath of the pant legs. And I also put a piece of cardboard under there because I'm going to have to pin this, and that'll just make it nice and easy to pin. Now, I'm only going to pin one side here, and it's the side that doesn't have the flap over right here. And I'll bring the camera in and give you a closer look of how I pin this up here. But for now, I'm just going to take my pins and pin all along the leg, and then I'll bring you in closer for that. Okay, so I'm finishing up pinning the leg, and then this kind of comes in at a point and goes back up. I am going to pin along there as well. I'm just ignoring this side for now. I am only going to pin and sew this one side. Okay, now I just have to sew this. And I decided I'm going to use a black thread on my entire skirt, and I will just start down at the bottom. I'm going to stay close to the edge of the pants and go all the way up, follow that curve, and end at that last pin we put in. Okay, I have this side all sewn. Now I just want to trim. See, there's that extra piece hanging because this is a rectangle. I'm just going to flip that over and cut that piece off. Okay, so this is the side we have all sewn, and I'm coming to the opposite. I'm still on the front, and I'm starting the leg, lining it up at the bottom, and starting it just like I did the other leg. Okay, I have most of it pinned. On this side, we have that sort of triangle shaped flap that we seam ripped. I'm just going to lay that over on top of the other side and continue pinning. I will pin that flap down. Now, mine has a raw edge. A lot of this skirt will have raw edges. You can tuck yours in if you want, if you don't want a raw edge, but I'm leaving mine as it is. Okay, now it's just time to sew. Pretty much like we did this side. Come up the side of the pant leg, and this time I'm going to follow this triangle around all the way up to the last pin there. Okay, so here's what they're looking like so far. Now I have to turn them around on the back and do the exact same thing that I did to the front. So now I want to make some big ruffles on the skirt, and I am just kind of playing with colors and things here. I chose these 3 colors to start with. Now this is a whole pair of jammy pants, and I'm cutting off the bottom of one leg and one on each to start to see what I like. And I'm cutting them about, one's 18 inches, one's 17, so in between 17 and 18 inches. And then on each one of these, I'm going to cut them on the seam and open it up to get a bigger piece of fabric, like that. And now I want to sew these 3 pieces together. So on this one, I will put right sides together, and I won't even pin this. I'll go to my machine and just do a 1/4 inch seam allowance and sew right down the side. And then when I get that one sewed on, I'll open it up And I'll sew this one on, right sides together. And sew down the side. And then what I'll have is a long multicolored piece of fabric that I can use for a ruffle. Okay, so this is all just kind of artsy from this point on, trying to fit, you know, there's no pattern. But what I want to do now is, this is the ruffle I just sewed together, those 3 pieces. I want to sew them on at an angle on this side of the pants. So I kind of laid it out at the angle I want it, and I'm going to draw a straight line in order to sew that on so I don't get all confused when I'm sitting at my sewing machine. So I know this is about where I want it, so now I can remove this. And where I'm going to draw my line, here's the center seam of the pants. I'm going about 1 inch over on the opposite side of that seam, and I'll start there, and it's about 7 inches down from the very top of the pants. But you know, that's just for reference. Of course, you do exactly what you want to do. So I'm drawing that line because I'm going to need that when I sit down at my sewing machine. Now, here's my line. I don't know if you can see that. Now I'm going to turn my pants over, and I'm going to continue that line just a little bit down the back side in case I reach that far with my ruffle. Okay, so now I want to go sew this on, and I'm going to pick a side. You can choose the side with the seams, or the side without the seam, with the seams on the inside or the seams on the outside. I think I decided my seams will be on the outside because I want my red right here. And so I'll take it to my machine. I will line my needle up with the start of that mark, and I will put my ruffle right there at the start as well. Put my needle in, go forward and back. And then I am just going to pinch pleat this all the way around. And let's see, my pleats might be about 1 inch folded over, and then I'll go maybe a couple inches. Again, this is something I feel out as I'm sewing. Go a couple more inches, make a pleat. And I'm following that line. And I will just pleat it and sew. You can pin yours if you're more comfortable doing that. You can baste it and pleat it that way before you sew it on. But I'm about quick and easy, and I'm so used to doing it this way that this is the way I do it because it's very quick and easy. And I will just go to my machine and get that all sewn on. Okay, and I'm using my largest zigzag stitch on this. And I'm sticking with the black for the whole thing. Okay, now I have this ruffle sewn on. It starts here, comes down, and ends about right here. Now I'm going to do that 2 more times, and I may have, let's see, I had 3 pieces there. I may do 4 on the next one, and I'll have to draw my lines. We'll start, see, here's where this one starts. I want to start underneath that, lower about 3 inches in so that this drapes over the next ruffle, and the next ruffle will come up at an angle and end about here. And then I will do another ruffle that will start underneath this one and come up at an angle, and I haven't decided where I want that one to stop yet, but I'm just feeling this out right now. I have the second ruffle sewn on. So here was the first. Now I started the next one below the top here and inside a little bit so it overlaps nice. And then I brought it up to here. Now I think the next ruffle I do, so this only had 3 panels. I think the next one I do is going to have 4 panels because I have further to go. I'm going to start under this one about 3 inches, come up, 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 and then I made a little X right here where I'm going to stop, but I still need to take this off and draw that line. So I'm going to get my panel prepared and get that sewn on. Okay, so I have the last ruffle sewn on. I started it underneath here and just brought it up. Now this piece is a little shorter because that's all I had left, and I think it's really cute like that. Okay, I'm all done sewing. That didn't hardly take any time at all, and what a beauty, right? You can get as extravagant as you want. You could do crisscross ties, add some patches, floral applique, little mini ruffles down at the bottom. Now my ruffles are raw at the bottom, and some people like that, some people don't. The beauty of boho is it's acceptable to have frayed edges. Now you could do a hem, you could serge it if you want it finished, or you could run a straight or zigzag stitch right along the bottom. And when I sold, if my edges are frayed, I disclosed that. I was sure to say something like wonderfully tattered and frayed, or if I did a stitch along the bottom, I'd say frayed raw edges with a stop stitch to stop excessive fraying, something like that. But now I'm going to wash it and dry it and get it fraying the way it's going to look after it's washed and dried. I want a little bit of fraying, any excess fraying, really long fraying, which I don't expect with this flannel actually. I'll trim that off, and then next time I see you, I'll be wearing it. Okay, here it is all finished. How fun is that? Now I decided to dress it up a little bit with some boots and some heels and a little flared sleeve, but this would be cute with a tank top and some sandals or flip-flops, a country concert t-shirt with some cowboy boots, or a rock t-shirt with some black Doc Martin boots. How about a upcycled sweatshirt with a flannel heart or star on it with some combat boots? So versatile and so fun. And I want to change the subject for 1 second. I'm going to come in a little closer. Okay, so I know YouTube doesn't allow for pictures to be put in the comments, and so many of you are creating and wanting to share your pictures. Well, I don't have a Facebook group or a Facebook page myself, but I belong to one, and I'm going to share it with you. I've tried several groups, and this is the one that I only post on at the time, and it's a wonderful community of upcyclers that are beginners to advanced. People ask questions, they share their photos. Now in this group you have to be accepted, and so if you go to the group, click the link that I'm going to put in my description, and I think you hit join group. You have a few questions you have to answer, then you have to wait and be accepted. And they have some rules. They have a lot of rules. And that's because they have so many people in this group. They have a lot of moderators that make sure people are following the rules. So be sure to look at the rules, read those. And it's mainly for posting before and afters of your upcycles, commenting. People are wonderful and so nice and uplifting on there. On Sundays, you can post something to sell and a link, I believe, as well. But it's called Upcycled Clothing and Creations. I'm going to put that link in my description, and I'd love to see what you all are creating. So I am going to come in a little closer and do a little slow spin so you can see the details of the skirt. And I thank you so much for watching.